Hello and welcome. Today we're looking at another motorcycle test, and this time it's the turn of the Suzuki GSX-S750 from 2020 this year. This bike houses a 750cc 4-stroke inline-4 engine, which is actually the engine taken from the 2005 model GSX-R750. Now, Suzuki have done what they term street tuned it to make it a bit more usable on day-to-day riding around the roads. It's got different gear ratios and it's slightly detuned. Puts out about 112 brake horsepower with 81 Newton meters of torque. Up top, as is now commonplace, we're presented with a digital screen which shows you speed, revs, your gear, engine temperature, time, mileage, fuel gauge, and also your traction control setting. Okay, it's got 3 traction control settings, one for poor conditions, one for balanced, and a more sportier setting which will allow you a bit more play. Now, it's certainly heavier than the GSX-R750 from which it borrowed its engine. This weighs in at 213 kilos, so it's certainly no featherweight. However, early indications are that it's not really an issue. The seat height's very low, it's 820 millimeters, and I've found manoeuvring it around, either riding it or just pushing it around, to be exceptionally easy. So much so that you don't realise the bike weighs that much. I certainly wouldn't guess that it weighed that much, so that's pretty impressive. Okay, so with those details out of the way, it's time for me to take it out, give it a good road test, and report back to you with what I find. So, what do I think? Well, actually, I'm very impressed. I've got to say, I wasn't expecting too much from this bike at the start, but I've come away very impressed with it. It's very good value for money. You can pick these up for £7,999. You know, you get one of these for under £8,000. It's got the GSX-R derived engine, albeit from quite a few years ago, but it's a great engine. It's very smooth, it's very willing. It needs revving quite a lot to get the best out of it, but anyone who's familiar with GSX-Rs of the past will know that's a characteristic, and it's not necessarily a bad one. It makes it a more interesting and engaging ride. It's not without faults though. The biggest problem I've got with this bike is something that should be very, very easy to fix, and I experienced it almost immediately as soon as I got the bike. I put my mobile phone under the rear seat because it was in a big case and it was more comfortable than trying to wear it in my jacket. Now, when I came to retrieve it, what happened was the phone had slipped inside here, down the side, and blocked the locking mechanism, meaning that I couldn't open this lock, and I couldn't take this rear seat off, and I couldn't get to my phone. That meant I had to take the side panels off, both sides of the bike, unscrew the front seat, and then from underneath poke my phone back up to get it, which is a crazy design flaw and one that should be fixable in next to no time at all. There isn't a plastic tray under here, and there really should be, to stop things falling through. Things can fall all the way through down here into the compartment where the battery sits, and that just seems daft to me. Not really acceptable. I'd also call out the mirrors for being a bit too fiddly to adjust. It's very difficult to get them in the correct position. There's not a lot of adjustment in them. I'd like to have seen a bit more, but in the scheme of things, that's a very minor complaint. I should praise the bike's handling, which is fantastic. It's billed within Suzuki's marketing, and it sounds like something a marketing department would come up with. This bike's billed as an apex predator, and I've got to say, actually, the handling is very, very good, and it lives up to that promise. It's very confidence inspiring and gives you a lot of confidence going into bends and such. So feather of the cap there, very, very good, impressive. And when coupled with the silky smooth engine that I spoke about a few moments ago, then it does make an all-round very good package. I should also mention the sound, which is actually quite nice. It's a bit muted until you get to 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, and then it picks up, and you're left with kind of a raspy growl, which is actually it's pretty nice. If you want to extend that further, then I'm sure the addition of an aftermarket exhaust cam would really pick that up quite significantly. It's good sound though. The riding position for me, I found a little bit cramped. So it was okay over an hour or so, but I'm not sure I'd want to do huge distances on it. But then again, you know, it's not a tour. And by cramped, your knees are up quite high and your legs are folded in quite tight. So I think after extended periods on the bike, I'd probably end up with my knees hurting. But maybe that's a symptom of my age rather than anything else. But actually, on that note, the relative lack of wind protection at the front is a positive there, because it does help keep your body upright. And it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. There's nothing on the front. You've got that very small light cluster at the front. There's no screen or anything like that. But the wind blast is not as bad as I thought it might be for that type of bike. Some of them are particularly bad. But no, that's okay. And you know, maybe the two combined is not such a bad thing after all. Like I say, I've ridden it for a couple of hours at a time and it's been okay. I just don't think I'd want to be on it all day. But it's not that type of bike, so maybe I'm being a bit too critical there. And so there you have it. If you're in the market for a middleweight bike, you could certainly do a lot worse than checking this bike out. It does have some stiff competition from its rival manufacturers, but this is a very, very attractive price point and it offers a lot of fun. Confidence-inspiring handling, a lovely engine. Gearbox is very nice as well, I should have mentioned. Like I say, it's got to be a contender. It'd certainly be on my shortlist, and at the beginning of this review I didn't have very high expectations for it at all. Also note as well that Suzuki are offering rather favourable finance deals at the moment, so that could swing the balance for you as well. Okay, well that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.